The water lilies in the ponds are just starting to come into growth now. Have you seen the price of water lily fertiliser? It's really expensive. I think last year, just because I had no time, I bought one packet for one batch of one plant basically, and it was like £6. I mean, it's a lot of money for something that's not complicated or difficult, so I'm not doing that again. So what I've got is I've got some clay, and that's straight out of the ground. This came out last year. I got a bucket of it when I was digging a big hole, and you can see it's rock solid, pure clay. So I'm going to give that a bit of a bash up. You can see how much it's already starting to break up. It's not bad. Usually I've got to pull a few rocks out, but this is doing okay. So that's good enough. There's the odd lump left on top. You can see it's mostly pretty fine. I've also got a load here that I ground up earlier, so I'm going to add that to it. Little pebbles, but it doesn't really matter. That'll do. That's blood, fish and bone, so it's organic fertiliser, nothing fancy, just came out of a 20 kilo sack. Going to add that to it, and I'll give it a quick mix. And then I'm going to add water to it. I'm going to go steady because I don't want to add too much. Let's see. Gonna need a little bit more. But that's not bad. The reason we're doing this is because if you just add fertiliser to a pond, just into the water, you're going to have massive algal problems because all that nutrient is going to be in solution, and the single cell plants will take over, basically, string algae and blanket weed, and it's going to look a mess. And if you've got a newish pond anyway, like we do, they tend to have a bit of green pond syndrome in the spring anyway, so you don't really want to encourage that, but actually this seems pretty good. If we can take a load of fertiliser and we can bind that up in clay, so let's take about how much. And we make that into, that's quite firm now. It's not quite plasticine, but it's not far off. And we can put that off to the side. And we're just going to go through the whole tub until we used it all up. And actually it's a bit dry, a little bit more. And what will happen is we leave the balls of fertiliser in the greenhouse for a couple of days until they're dry, so they'll be like biscuit dry, crisp, they'll be brittle, it won't smush at all, it'll just snap. And then what we'll do, actually that's a bit big, we'll take one of them when it's dry and we'll shove it down into the mud where the water lilies are rooted, and their roots will go down and it'll access it directly inside this, and because it's surrounded by clay it's not going to dissolve into the water. So it means that they'll have all the fertility they want to give us a nice bloom this year, hopefully, because they only went in last year, so I've never had flowers off them. And every time I do one of these, I think £4. £8. I mean, it's literally that expensive. It's incredibly expensive stuff. And these are, you know, jumbo oversized, so I haven't got to put too many of them in. But the number of ponds we've got, fairly small. We haven't got that many water lilies yet. Because that again is one of the things. You buy a water lily and it says make sure that you contain it inside a basket, don't let it run loose or it'll run rampant, it'll take over the whole pond. You'll have loads of them and you'll have to cut them all out. Well, you just spent like £8–9 on one of them. I quite fancy having a couple of £100 worth of water lilies sitting in my pond, you know. But the people that sell you them don't want you to have a couple of £100 worth of lilies sitting in your pond. They want you to keep buying them from them. So you get the idea. So it's been about 3 days since these were done. It hasn't been massively hot, but here in the greenhouse it's been good enough. They're not completely biscuit dry. You can see underneath they've gone very light. Still a bit darker on top, but you know, that's rock solid. They're not going anywhere. They're going into ponds anyway, and they're not going to completely dissolve when they go in because they're bound up in clay. It's not a bad day today. I could put them in, but I've got some new pond plants on the way, some new water lilies. So I'm going to wait until they arrive and I'll do them all at the same time. So I've only got to get stripped off and into the ponds once, because it's not going to be fun. So yeah, we'll film that when they arrive. I've got my fertiliser balls. So I'm going to go down, trace these down. Right, so I've got that. So I'm going to plant them just in the mud, in with the water lily, and that's a little bit deeper than it was, so the lily pads aren't quite up to the surface, but the next generation will come right up. Now, little tiny bunts now. So what will happen now is, instead of it being contained by this and limited, pretty good rich mud, but still pretty limiting, now it can get access to the whole of the pond bottom. It'll spread out more. Now this is a fairly new section of the pond, so although last year it wasn't bad, you can see we've got a lot of blanket algae across the surface. There are fish in here, which of course is a nutrient load. So this will have a double whammy effect, having the water lily in. First off, it'll spread out and it'll cover more of the surface, so less light gets in, and that, you know, without the light we'll have less of this in here. But the other advantage is that the plant itself will take nutrients out of the water. What I've just put in now will give it an initial boost, so it'll spread out and get it up quicker, so it'll spread out more quickly. There's a nice pond once it's a bit further along. But while I'm in here, I'll show you this. See how long this pole is. Down under that grassy mound there, I've got a pipe buried, and it's difficult to show just how far back in that goes. So that basically is that sort of depth, right down under here. There we go. So that's how deep. Hang on, hold up. That's how deep that excavation goes, and it's fairly wide as well. It's a good couple of feet. And the same behind me. This is hollow, so I can get my hand down underneath there as well and go straight through. So those two things, and having the greater protection, and I got one more thing to go in that I'm going to build in there, but I haven't got the time for that at the minute. That'll, you know, within a month or so I should have that built. And between the three of those features, it should give us enough heron protection that I can take down this really ugly fence, because it's not pretty and I can't wait to get rid of it. I also can't wait to get out of the pond. So yeah, that is our DIY organic water garden pond fertilisers.